Hello there everybody and welcome. In this video I'm going to explain all the different xenotypes of Rimworld Biotech and give you a couple of tips and tricks about what you should know about them either when you want to play them yourself or when you see them as enemies. So I put timestamps down below, so if you're looking up for a particular breed, that's where you find it. So I want to get started with the Dirtmoles. The Dirtmoles are the subterranean xenotype. They come with a great mining bias, so +8 whenever you roll one. That's pretty heavy. They also come with built-in dark vision. That means they're not going to work slower in the dark. That's a very, very powerful trait. And they also are a really good fit for anything considering melee, because they deal 50% more damage. The fast wound healing makes them a good fit for the whole close combat scenario as well. Their big downsides are just when they don't get to be underground anymore. They're slow per se. That's a big downside that you always have to mitigate. But outside, they're even slower and pissed. So you shouldn't be playing them outside. But they are great for any underground or mountain base that you want to play. When you want to play against them, just try to shoot them, because in melee they are way more powerful, which is quite easy because you can outrun them, so don't worry about that too much. Let's move over to the Genies. So Genies are a really weird breed. For one, you cannot make a baby with them and inherit their genes. That blue icon here means that they are a artificial species, so you can't breed them. You have either to extract them or gather yourself another genie from somewhere. But that being said, they are amazing crafters and researchers. They come with a really good, strong skill level there. A +8 is pretty powerful. They even come with elongated fingers, so they work faster when they're crafting. The downsides are pretty clear. They're delicate. They are really bad at plants, animals, and social. So they suffer also extra pain. That means they are absolutely no warriors. They make quite decent doctors though, if you intend to never send your doctors to the front line. But also, all in all, genies make horrible fighters, and therefore when they attack you, it's pretty cool because you can gun them down like crazy. When they are with you, well, that's one colonist that's really bad at fighting, guaranteed. But he's also really good at tinkering stuff and researching stuff, so there goes. The dead calm trait makes them also go almost never into violent breakdowns, which is a quite interesting thing and a more powerful benefit than you might think in the first glance. But I think genies, you really shouldn't overdo it with them, because your colony loses so much fighting power. Speaking about fighting power, let's get on into the Hussars. So these guys are really crazy. So I want to point out, first and foremostly, these guys are dying if they don't get their goat juice. So it's really hard to handle them and keep them alive in your colony if you don't have a running goat juice industry already, which isn't that easy at all. But if you do, oh, the benefits. These guys have super fast healing. They are unstoppable. That means you have no stackers, so these guys can just walk through bullets. They're good at fighting in general. Their reduced pain makes them also last longer, so well, goat juice and reduced pain. They fight until they die, basically. They are also immune against toxicity to a certain degree, but they cannot psycast. All in all, man, these guys are crazy, but if you don't have the goat juice, or you don't have much goat juice, cryptosleep caskets are way to go. This way you can freeze them until you need them and then use them for the combat and put them back into the cryptosleep casket again. That's until you have enough goat juice to keep them running. If you keep them running though, the hyper-aggressive gene of theirs makes them really dangerous, and they deal a lot of damage when they go crazy because they're good at fighting in general, so be wary of that. But let's move over to the next species, the Neanderthal. So these guys are one of my favorites, and that's because they are super tanky and very good at fighting. They come with strong melee damage. Their robust trait makes them take less damage. Their reduced pain gene makes them, well, even more robust, you know. They won't go down that fast. The only downside here is they are slow runners. They also come with a strong immunity, which means infections won't take them down that quickly either. But you pay a pretty heavy price for all that. First of all, these guys are slow, but slowness can be mitigated if you have a melee heavy battle plan. You just have to ambush the enemy accordingly. They're also bad at shooting social and intellectual things. Well, alright, they are Stone Age primitive people, but the slow study gene is what really cripples these guys. They're learning super slowly. That means if this guy is in your colony, they will go really, really slowly up in their skills. So ideally, you only pick up one that's already good at what you need him to do, and then you have a really solid, albeit slow fighter. When you fight against these guys, really important to note, these guys are walking fortresses. It's hard to put these guys down, and in your defense, you should plan this into your strategy that it might be wise to have an option to run away and shoot them again, because these guys are slow runners. That means you can kite them quite easily, but you don't want to get close up with these guys because they're just too dangerous. But they will last longer than your typical enemy because robust and reduced pain makes them take a lot more bullets. They're basically drugged by nature, so kite them longer than the average enemy. That's really, really worth noting, and you should always pay attention if Neanderthals are raiding you. Even if they are only tribals, it can go really, really south if they ever get close into your face. Good. The Pigskin. The Pigskin is a cool xenotype which has a couple of powerful traits with only, well, smaller downsides. They aren't that much of an extreme xenotype. They come with strong immunity, that's pretty cool, and they also come with a strong stomach, making them immune to food poisoning, which is amazing, and their robust digestion makes them handle raw food even better. They don't even hate eating raw food. This makes them very, very well tolerant in terms of food stuff, so they don't need to be fed well, and they are still happy. They don't grow unhappy if they eat raw food, but the downside is pretty clear. They're nearsighted, they are really bad shots, they are really bad at cooking in the first place, but that's deniable, or really not that important. But their trotter hands, that is really a really sucky thing. They have 15% less manipulation. That means they're really bad at crafting in general because they are slow. They're slower in everything they do, which involves manipulation, and this is something you really should pay attention to. Also, they're a little bit hungrier because their metabolic efficiency is in the negative, so they might eat raw food, but they're also a little bit gluttonous. All in all, they're pretty cool though, because their reduced pain makes them quite tanky, and they are, well, easy to maintain, and their downsides aren't too terrible. Moving on to the Impid. Alright, the Impids are really amazing little guys. They are always unhappy, and they can spit fire. And that is really what sums them up. They're also fast. They're fast runners. Very fast runners even. This makes them among the fastest guys in the game. And, well, they also are fire resistant, so you cannot bring up any fire attacks against them. Well, it is not my standard plan, but it's worth noting. What's really important to know about these guys is that they're, as enemies, they are real nightmares. If they raid you and they come up close so fast, burning people don't fight, so that makes them really annoying. My personal recommendation is don't skip fire foam poppers when you're playing biotech. Fire foam is much more powerful than it ever was due to the Impid, and what's really interesting to know is, if you didn't know yet, if you're covered in fire foam, you cannot be set on fire, and that counters these guys pretty heavily, because they are, apart from being able to spit fire, actually only, well, fire resistant, and they're bad farmers and ranchers. They're pretty normal. They also heal slow, but yeah, that's that. The Wasters. Oh yeah, the Wasters are a really interesting bunch. First of all, they are dying if they cannot consume anything containing psyche. That means you need at least the tea, but anything goes from flake to yayo, whatever. You can feed them whatever you have. And what's really important to know is they're impervious against wake up, addiction, and overdose. That means these guys are compatible with drugs. They might need them, they might die without them, but if you have it, they are really, really powerful with it. Apart from that, they're really horrible ranchers, horrible artists, and cooks, but you gain super immunity, which means these guys can handle the entire game with herbal meds alone because, you know, the rest is just immunity gain. And they're also immune against toxicity, but most importantly, they're also immune against pollution, therefore, and they even thrive in pollution. So if you ever plan to go for a polluted playthrough, these guys are the best things to pick up. And even if not, once you have a certain drug production running, the wasters are surprisingly powerful because they can reap all the benefits of the drugs without any risk behind it. And that's, I think, a pretty powerful thing. Just feed them all the wake up that you got and watch them go crazy. Otherwise, besides that, they're nothing too remarkable though. So, Sanguophages are, well, they are deserving their own video. I even made videos about it, but I want to summarize them a little bit. First of all, they're the Rimworld vampires. They require blood to live, which is pretty okay. They have a couple of extra skills. They can jump, they can shoot bone spikes, they can heal people with their vampire spittle, and they can turn other people's into vampires once a year. Their downsides are they burn quite easily, they take quadruple damage from fire, and they are aggressive, which means they are breaking down into violence more often. And this is much worse than it sounds, given the fact that they're good in melee and robust, and well, usually these guys break bones and shatter limbs when they go crazy, and they do that quite often. But the benefits of that is these guys are really versatile and good at pretty much everything. They are good leaders, they are attractive, which makes their beauty go up. That makes them charismatic. They're good at fighting, they're good at social, they're good at science, they're really, really good, except for the fact that they require blood and they need to go death resting every once in a while to recover their vampire mojo, and they're constantly in the risk of killing people when they have a breakdown. But apart from that, keep them away from sunlight and you have a wonderful overpowered guy, but really, they are hard to handle and can spiral your colony into chaos quite quickly if you don't take it carefully. Alright, moving on over to the Yttakin. The Yttakin are the Rimworld Wookiees, and they're really, really great at animals. So they are able to call an animal to help in combat, which is a little bit unreliable, but if you have the animal in the vicinity and you have a lot of animals in your biome, this can be really, really powerful. They're also great with animals, did I already mention? They're also really good in melee, but they're also sadly inheriting the aggressive gene, which sucks a tad bit. They're slow healers, they're robust, but all this comes with a price. First of all, they're lazy. They sleep more than anybody else, and they sleep a lot actually, which is really, really annoying. But also, they are, well, naturally born nudists. They are faster if they're nude, and actually slower if they're clothed. Also, they have fur skin, making them, well, last better in colder biomes. It also removes all their problems with nudity in the first place, and their furry tail makes them last through temperatures even better. So it's a pretty interesting thing. The real only downsides are being sleepy and being incapable of casting, but their nudity is actually being balanced out by their robustness quite well. So they can wear armor, but they're taking less damage per se. If you put them into armor, they grow way, way more tanky, and they're also slower because of that, but I think it's a pretty interesting thing to know. They're pretty good when you want to have a power rancher, but they're really just oh, well, I hate the sleepy gene, all right? It's making them so much less effective. And also, they're more hungry than other people, so there it goes. But they're really, really good with animals. Last but not least, let's cover the Highmate. The Highmate is again an artificial species, so babies of them won't have their genes, but they're a really, really interesting support-like xenotype. They're really frail, so they are also incapable of violence, always. They're delicate, and they cannot fight. They're not good at mining, they're not good at plants, but they are great at social things, and they can psychically bond to their first lover. They're also very happy, very attractive, and make therefore pretty natural born leaders. What's also worth noting about them is that they come with psychic sensitivity, which means they're good psychcasters, and also their constant good mood and their high libido makes them also sort of morale buffer, boosters for your colony. If you put certain implants into these guys, which makes their mood spread on over to the environment, there are a couple of these in the game, you can even use their natural born happiness even further. The thing is, though, they're absolutely not useful for the colony in terms of warfare, and the psychic bonding thing, well, do not separate people that are psychically bonded. That means Highmates bind a person to your colony, because really people are if there's a psychic bonding and people are separated, they hate it, and it's a lifelong thing. So there's a lot of downsides for the Highmate, and you pay a lot for relatively low amount of benefits. I like these the least personally, if you didn't already notice, and that's all the vanilla xenotypes. So I want to put at the end of this that only the Neanderthal, Hussars, and Impids are really troublesome when you're fighting against them. Alright, Sangophages go without saying, but they never attack you regularly. Yttakin are, well, not really that dangerous if they attack you. I think I covered all the important things, but let me know in the comment section what you think, what I might have missed, or what you might want to add into this. Leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed, consider subscribing. I'd be delighted to have you folks, and there's down there also links to PayPal, Patreon, and Buy Me a Coffee as ways and means to support this channel if you'd be so kind. I'd be really, really happy about that. Either way, thanks for your time, thanks for watching this video, and I hope you have a great day.